together. Go.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the East Region Town Hall, other known as E.R.T.H. We sometimes have a slang word like that for our little committee here. But let me open our meeting. We are at the Moose Lodge, 15900 Moose Lodge Lane, Clear Lake Oaks, California, 95423. Meeting officially opens at 4:02 p.m. and I'm calling it to order. May I get roll call?
A little closer to the mic.
Sorry. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. All present with one vacant seat. Again, I always do this. We have one vacant seat, folks. Please, please, please. I don't know if we've had any applicants, but we are looking for applicants. Anyone that resides within District 3 and is interested in what goes on in District 3 and wants to make a difference in District 3, please think about this vacancy and come aboard our committee here once a month. A little bit of legwork in between, but between that, we want to make a difference and we want to help the Board of Supervisors make the best decisions they can, and that's what this committee is about. So next I will open public input. You get 3 minutes as a citizen of this district, or anyone actually. You get 3 minutes to discuss things with us that you're concerned about, as long as they are not on our agenda today and that they are within our jurisdiction of being able to help you with, okay? So with that, I'll open public comment. Do we have anybody? Please go up to the podium and state your name and where you live if you do.
Good afternoon. Is it on? Hear me?
Yes.
3 minutes. My name is Terry Roy, and I'm a resident of Clear Lake Oaks, and I would like to speak today about a dangerous situation at the address of 11630 Barrel Way, a location about which many of you and code enforcement are aware. The homeowner of this property has been in prison since July 2023, and according to the California Department of Corrections inmate search website, is not eligible for parole until May, 3 months from now. At their November 7th, 2023 meeting, the Board of Supervisors denied the homeowner's request to delay a second abatement at this property. 3 months later, that abatement has not yet happened. The issue is there's an in-ground swimming pool at this unoccupied property that is completely unsecured from anyone, including children, accessing it. It is filling with rainwater, and as of yesterday, the water in the pool is 29 inches deep. Yes, I trespassed, and there was nothing to prevent me from walking right up to the edge of the pool and measuring it myself. Here's one from January, and you can see it's gotten deeper. Beryl, B-E-R-Y-L. The California Swimming Pool Safety Act requires a 5-foot fence to be installed around any pool greater than 18 inches in depth. I live approximately 1/8 of a mile from this property, and there are at least 10 elementary school aged and younger children in my immediate neighborhood. The pool, my house, and homes with children that I'm aware of. These children play in the neighborhood with varying degrees of supervision, including some who are completely unsupervised. This property creates a clear and present danger to these children and others, and is a devastating tragedy waiting to happen. According to the CDC, approximately 11 Americans die from accidental drowning every day, and more children under age 5 die from drowning than any other cause of death. One county website estimates 60 California children under age 5 die from drowning every year. That's 5 children in California every month. This is not some unlikely or far-fetched scenario that couldn't happen here. I don't believe I'm exaggerating or overstating the danger the situation presents. I'm glad that code enforcement is here today, and I beg and implore you to please make abatement of this property a priority. Please do not let this homeowner's irresponsibility cost our community the life of one of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, we do have code enforcement here today, so again, they will be speaking. So the public comment is for things that we may be unaware of or that there's someone not here representing today. So is there anyone else with some public comment today? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item, which is Scott DeLeon, Lake County Director of Public Works, Road Rehabilitation Plan and Response to E.R.T.H Letter dated December 4th, 2023.
Good afternoon. It's okay if I just
Of
present
course.
from here?
Yes.
Awesome. Nice to see everyone. Scott DeLeon, Public Works Water Resources Director for Lake County. My presentation is going to be relatively short because your letter was actually very, very good, and I appreciate it very much because you highlighted a number of roads that are in your community that were not included in that pavement rehabilitation plan. So I thank you for that. I'm basically going to add all of the roads that you listed in your letter. So what we're going to be doing is working with the design consultant who prepared the master plan. They're actually working on some plans for our Cobb Mountain project that we're going to do this summer. And I'm going to modify the list of roads and have them modify the plan to include the roads that you had there. And there's quite a number of them. So it's going to make for a pretty substantial project. So I appreciate the letter and catching the oversight. So for those of you who may not have seen the letter, I will kind of try to list the roads. Basically, it omitted all of the roads in the Keys. So we've added all of those. Cerrito and Alta Vista Drive, Island Drive, Oak Street, Oak Grove, Center Way, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th Streets, it omitted, and all of the roads in the community of Glen Haven. And I actually did you one more. I caught the roads that are in between Glen Haven and the Oaks and added those to the list, and I apologize, it's folded up here. Olson, Pingree, Swanson, Spring Road, Henderson, Chatton, Terrace, Hillcrest, Harvey, Young, and Terry, and Mitchell, I believe, are in those little communities that are between the Oaks and Glen Haven that were omitted from that plan. So we're going to revise the plan and make sure those roads get included. So one of the other questions that was in the letter was what happened to the timing? We did a draft presentation of the 10-year, well, let me back up just a little bit. Since I'm going to take just a couple minutes. I know you're all anxious to get to our friends at Code Enforcement and CDD, but let me just take a minute here to give you a little background. What we did is we hired the company that does our pavement management and the pavement management programs for the two cities. NCE is the name of the company. We hired them to do what originally was going to be a 5-year pavement rehabilitation plan. And our target was an average pavement condition index for the countywide road network of 70. We are currently at about 33. So 33 is not good. It actually is quite poor. And so our target was 70. They got about 2 weeks into the analysis and came back and said, you don't have enough money. That is just not a feasible project. So what are some of my options? And they said, well, you can make it a 10-year plan and you need to lower your target. So what we did is we lowered it to 50, which is good, and we changed it to a 10-year plan. And even with that, we are needing about $17 million a year to achieve that 10-year plan of improving the road network to an average of 50. They say money can't buy happiness, and money can't buy, well, money can buy stuff with road improvements. And for those of you who live in the city of Clear Lake, they're a great example of what money can do. Their pavement condition index is increasing, and it's simply because they have the funding to do it. In that draft plan, the North Shore was first, second year out of the chute, and of course, everybody was pretty excited about that. There was some pushback. There was quite a bit of discussion because the last group that was going to get repaired was Cobb Mountain. As you all know, we had terrible fire, the Valley Fire in 2015. A significant number of homes lost, and the roads were absolutely destroyed as a result of the fire suppression efforts, and mostly due to the cleanup efforts. Listening to the comments at the board, listening, to a lot of folks, we ended up rotating the plan in a different direction. And we started with Cobb Mountain. And so Cobb Mountain's going to start this summer. I mentioned the contractors completing the plans. They are doing that right now. Hope to have that project out to bid first week in March. Initial estimates are looking at around 11 to 12 million for that project, so it's going to be a sizable project. Your community is coming up. It's not going to be last, but it will. We're going to start the design work on that, and again, it's going to start with the revision of the plan and the inclusion of the roads that you had asked for. And what we're going to do is we're going to start the design, have the design ready to go, and when the funding becomes available, we're going to try to do that project. So it's going to be based on the estimate that they had for this zone and with the additional roads that I added, it could be close to $20 million project. So it is a significant project. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions.
Is that going to happen in 2026?
That's the plan. I heard him. Yep, I heard him. He asked it, is that 2026? And that's the plan. That's what we've got it scheduled for. But you need to I'm going to say it with a grain of salt, that it depends on the funding. Okay? Depends on the funding. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to be on the microphone so that the recording can hear as well.
Okay, can you hear it? Okay, Holly Harris, Clear Lake Oaks
Hi, Holly.
resident. Hi there. I know that you're retiring in June, but, and so obviously we don't know who's going to be there, after that. But is this something where once the plan gets designed and redone, somebody's going to come out and give us a timeline so we know what's going to happen?
So one of the things that I've tried to build into this plan is once it goes into motion, then it's just going to be a matter of funding.
Okay.
So we're starting on the designs for the next 2 years, which includes Clear Lake Oaks and the roads that we've discussed here. And so the plan is to have those roads or those construction plans ready to go, and if the funding's there, then it'll just be 1 year after the next. That's
Okay.
the plan, recognizing that I am retiring, but I wanted to have those things in place so that they can, whoever takes my place can just keep rolling with that. I'm going to have the design engineer, the contracts for the design engineer are going to be going to the board in the next month or two for the designs of the next couple of years.
Okay. Yeah, it would just be nice if, obviously you can't promise anything, but if somebody came just before they started, so we had an idea of where this is going to occur.
Right, and
I realize it's going to be everywhere, but in what order?
right.
Okay.
Hi, Scott. This is Randy Wilk.
Hi.
I've noticed that PG&E has been tearing up the roads in Cobb Mountain. Now they're tearing up the roads here
Yep.
at our hillside. Is anybody working with them to compensate or have them deal with some of these things that they've done?
Yeah, that's a great question. So PG&E rolled in here, and you all saw it. You saw their ads on television. They are all over the place. They came into Lake County and just tore things up. And Cobb Mountain was destroyed, and many other locations. We actually have a individual in our office that has been permanently assigned to dealing with them. We have had numerous meetings with PG&E. We have pulled permits. We have rescinded. We have put stop work orders on permits to let them know that we're pretty serious about controlling the damage that they're doing. We are having them, if they damage a road, they've got to replace the whole road. And those are things we're working with PG&E to, and I'll give you an example. One of the things they did up on Cobb is they paved and left 150 foot long sections unpaved. And they went to the trouble of grinding and feathering in the asphalt, picking up the asphalt machine and moving it to the next spot. And they left these 100-foot long sections that were unpaved. We said, got back up there and we said, what did you do here? He said, well, we didn't put any conduit in the ground there, so we're not going to do the paving. We said, well, hold on a second. You routed traffic. You used this road for your hauling of equipment and materials, and you damaged the road regardless of whether you put a culvert in it or a conduit in it. And you need to come back and you need to fix that. So we are working with them. We're holding a couple of permits actually right now, trying to get them to make sure that they get things done right. They did a lot of damage in Blue Lakes, and they're repaving all of those roads in Blue Lakes, and not just a trench restoration, it's full width restoration. So we're working pretty diligently trying to get them to do things correctly. And again, I've devoted an individual who basically that's all she does is work on PG&E stuff. Me.
Hey, hang on, we got to get you for the live audience. We
He
gotta get you
asked
on
who
mic.
can he contact in our office, and I
Perfect,
said
thank you.
me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now we all know.
Should they state their name first, too, please?
It does help.
I'm Sally David.
Closer to, there you go. Perfect.
I'm Sally David. Wow. I'm within the city limits, and I don't know the name of this particular plan from a couple of years ago. And my whole street was not done at all, and it's worse than ever. And I would just like some help. Laurel, Laurel. It's between Widgeon and a fork of Lakeview and Manzanita.
Okay.
And the garbage trucks and any other truck is just, it's bad. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question or comment for Mr. DeLeon? Yes, Wendy?
You're on Laurel Way, ma'am? That's the road you were asking about? Okay, it's already on the 10-year plan for inclusion in the rehab in Clear Lake Oaks. Okay.
I'm Wynn Carey. I'm in Spring Valley. PG&E did about a mile of Long Valley Road from Highway 20 in. Unfortunately, their heavy equipment caused the hillsides there to become unstable, And now we have a number of floods across the road. We have a lot of dirt across the road. And then they made little holes, and then they went back this last week and made bigger holes. So hopefully their machinery is gone now, and road department can get in there and clear up the rain culverts and that, so the dirt can get off the road. As far as 1.5 miles in.
Okay, thanks. So, and I appreciate that. We have 3 road yards. When I first started with Public Works 25 years ago, we had 6 road yards, and we have 3 now. There's, I think, 6 full-time employees in the Upper Lake Road Yard that manage handle all of the North Shore. They've been very, very busy. But I have taken down your comment, and I appreciate it. One of the things I'd also like to encourage you, it's really, really important that when you have a road issue, when you have a concern, a complaint, you have pothole, slides, trees down, that you call our main office. And I'm going to give you that number. It's relatively simple. It's 263-2341. That's 263-2341. And why I am encouraging you to do that is because if you call the road yard, you're probably going to get an answering machine because the workers and crews are probably not there. And that message, it might take weeks before they get to that message. If you call our office, our main office, and speak with someone or leave a message, then what happens with that is that notification goes into a system it's computerized, and there's a tracking system, and we go back at the end of every month and see how many of those, we call them service requests, how many of those have been closed out and have been addressed, and anything that has not been addressed, we make a list of those uncompleted service requests, and we give them back to the foreman of that area, and we say, hey, you've got some service requests that you haven't completed. My point is there's a tracking of that request, and it will get a lot more attention and a lot quicker attention if you call our main office. You can also do it online if you're handy with the computer. You can go on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, and we have an individual that monitors that pretty closely. And we do take service requests and road complaints through our Facebook page. But I just really, really discourage you from calling the road yard directly and call the main office.
I think, Thomas, you might ask the same question I'm going to ask. Is it about school routes?
No, actually, I'm Thomas Aceves from the Western Region Town Hall from Nice and Upper Lake. And Scott, actually, I want to say one thing. Lake Shore in Nice, it needs chip seal or something really bad. I don't know. I didn't see that on the list when I looked at the map last year. But however, I want to say something really positive about our crew in the North Shore. For the past 6 years, I've been cleaning the Nice cutoff with a crew and getting trash and garbage off that roadway, and it needs it badly right now. But that crew, through Lori Price, has gone out every time and picked up everything we've tied up. So, and even got other stuff dumps there too. So I don't know that crew. I've actually never met them. Maybe once I went over to the yard to get some bags, but I just want to say something really positive about that crew because they constantly are, and I never heard any gripes about where I've left the bags. And I try to leave them safe. So thank them for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We have a great group. The foreman of that area is a longtime Lake County resident. His name's Daniel Wright. He's the son of Jim Wright, who's the former superintendent for us. And it's in their blood. Those guys they're top shelf. But I appreciate it.
Scott, can I ask a question?
You
This is
bet.
Tammy Alex.
Hi, Tammy.
So what about routes to school? Is that something that we can like traffic within the school zone or on the way to a school zone?
So
The
we do have
roads?
an item on our agenda today about, I don't know if it's all school, what school zone you're speaking of, but the one in our district for sure.
On the North Shore, but.
Okay, I just don't want to get involved in something we're going to talk
Okay.
about in just a minute, so.
Sorry.
That's okay, no, that's fine.
So specifically, I mean, you concerned with or wanting to see more improvements, or what exactly?
I personally like that our manhole is a little raised because it slows people down. But it was just more about how do we go about, but if it's on the agenda, I'll wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
We did just, and I don't have the exact schools that are in the plan, but we did get a grant last year for some crosswalk safety around schools with flashing lights and different things, and I have staff working on the design for that. Would expect to see that constructed sometime this summer. Again, well, there's a number of schools that are included, and if you want to check with me tomorrow or something, I can get the list of the schools that are on there. But we really try to work hard with the schools. And I'll just say that especially if the school is willing to purchase particular equipment, like certain, if they're willing to purchase, put something into it and we can get out and install it, we're happy to work collaboratively like that. Okay? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Sam Boucher. I live in the Keys. And my question is, does the design include drainage and road elevations on the county roads in the Keys, and adjustments made, and the culverts and drains, will they have is there a maintenance program in place, or will there be a maintenance program in place to clean out the drains that seem to get clogged and cause the flooding?
Right.
Now, some of the problems associated with the flooding are elevation, and I don't know if the design is going to include raising the elevation and then therefore requiring a raise of the
Right. Yeah, that
drain pipes.
opens a big can of worms right there.
Yeah,
Because of all of the driveways and.
but that's what the design is about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is correcting all of the problems.
Well, technically, the project is pavement rehabilitation, but if there's a significant problem with drainage and with flooding, I would imagine we'd want to take a look at that. The other thing, with respect to the culverts, we have thousands of culverts, as you can imagine. If you're walking and you happen to, or you see something is flooding and you let us know, that's really, really helpful. And we can dispatch people to get out there and work on those. And we do have a culvert cleaning program before winter comes. They go from construction, our construction season, to storm prep. And this year, that period of time was pretty short because we went from construction right into rain. So
Along Keys Boulevard, right off of 20, there's considerable lengths of gutter there with the grass growing up in them. So I don't think they were included in
probably didn't get there.
Cleanup effort that
Yeah.
were. But yes, would pictures help?
absolutely, you bet.
My name's Kathy Garner, and I live in the Keys. Are you talking about Highway 20 in Keys? Well,
I'm talking about the Keys Boulevard where it flooded.
yeah, that floods every year, but it doesn't rain like that all the time.
It floods a lot with the gutters
Right.
on both sides of the Keys there have mud and grass, enough mud that the
Right.
grass is growing.
I was in my boots the other day. Anyway, why can't we all do our own gutters. What's so hard about that?
If they have a plan,
But when was the last time you saw our county doing, I've been there 43 years, they don't clean our gutters. Very, very appropriate, but I wish we,
Well, I
I
don't
wish
have a
we
problem
had
with the question.
that many people
Yeah.
that you would come
Yeah.
to the Keys.
Right.
But they don't very much, as you've seen.
no, and the first opportunity I've had to
Yeah,
ask that
yeah.
question. So,
I want you to call my department, my office, and I want you to
Exactly.
give me a service request, is what I'd like for you to do. I don't want you out there digging up dirt in a culvert.
I don't feel you have time for things like that.
Well, it's not going, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not going to be a higher priority to some giant pothole that's on Nice-Lucerne Cutoff that is one of the highest ADT, average daily traffic roads in the county, and high speed and high volume, and there's a pothole there. That one's going to get priority. But these things, I told you, these things get recorded. They get put into a computer system, and that never goes away until it's addressed. So if it hasn't gotten addressed at the end of the month, it's going to come back around. It's going to come right back to the top of the pile with the area foreman.
They've called, Sam, Donna's called.
yes, no, and like I was saying, all the problems are not just the gutters being filled. Elevation is a major problem.
Yep. No, I heard you.
There's nothing that we can do
Right.
to
Right.
fix.
Right.
an elevation.
Now I am going to tell you what we won't do is where not you, but where people have put the metal plates over the gutter, over the valley gutter, because they don't like that gutter there. We're not going to clean that.
Well, you shouldn't have it, we're not supposed to have it.
Yeah. Okay. I'd encourage you to call us. Okay. I get the list at the end of the month of the unfinished ones. Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect.
So I actually kind of have a question. You say it rolls over next month if it hasn't been tended to. So what if, I mean, is it just going to get a check mark if the next month the same call comes in or a different resident calls on the same location, or does it get bumped, or if there's multiple concerned about that one area? How does that work if there's more than one or two residents?
So the answer to every question was yes. Okay. If there's multiple requests for the same thing, then that's recorded, which is why it's so important that you call.
Exactly.
All right.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
It's really important. So if we see multiple people calling about something and it's not being addressed at the end of the month, these foremen, and Thomas talked about the crew that we have, and it's not unique to Kelseyville or Upper Lake. These crews are competitive. These guys they want to be able to say, I completed all of my service requests at the end of the month. They don't want to see
Carryovers.
They don't want to see carryover. They're very competitive, and they're very proud about that. And so they know that the road superintendent sees it. They know that the director sees it, and they don't want to see those completed service requests coming back. They don't want to see that.
But
So
they
it is
have to-
competitive.
They have to put that request in,
Absolutely.
and if they
And
don't see
let
answers,
me, I'm getting into the weeds here just a little bit, because when the guys go out and address a service request, on their time cards, they say, clean the gutter, service request, 24 dash whatever. And so we know how much time, we know who was there, we know what equipment was there. Patched potholes on Nice-Lucerne Cutoff at milepost, and to that service request. They do that so that we have a record of when we got the complaint and when we did the work. Believe it or not, we get a lot of claims. I know that sounds hard to believe. We get a lot of claims about things. People hit potholes and they say, well, you didn't fix that pothole. Well, now I have record that we either didn't know about it or we knew about it and we fixed it within this certain period of time. Very, very important that you call. It helps us, helps you.
That was my point. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, can I bring up a question?
Sure.
So along those lines, in front of my house, more than 6 months ago, a pipe broke in the road. And you guys came out and fixed the pipe, told me they were gonna come back and replace the pipe all the way across the road, piled a bunch of rock there on the end over the top of where they would patch the road normally, and left it. So that was maybe 6 months ago.
So what kind of pipe broke?
The PVC,
Was it a water line?
yeah, your connection.
Okay, you're saying my connection. I don't
Hang
do
on.
the water lines. All I do is the road. So if
Yeah,
the,
yeah, it
if
doesn't-
the company,
doesn't
if the
anything to do
water
with that.
company didn't come back,
No, that's not the issue.
okay?
They piled the gravel and stuff up on the road and left it basically a pile going out into the road. And then I called and said, hey, what happened? You guys never came and fixed the road and replaced the pipe. Now, I don't care about the pipe because it's not leaking, but they didn't patch the road. And then the first rains of this season, they came out and were going down the roads and they pulled in on my court where they were supposed to fix the patches that had appeared during the rainy part of the season. And they didn't patch those because they in fact parked over those to fix the patch in front of my house of the gravel and stuff that was still in the road. So they fixed the patch in the road, and I've called a couple times. They fixed the patch in the road from the water line, but they never fixed the divots in the road from the rain.
Tony, was it a county water line or a public,
No, it's-
private water line?
It's their water line.
The county?
Yeah. Yeah.
Public Works Department doesn't have water
Special-
lines, sir,
yeah,
so
that would be
why
special
don't you tell me where you're at and I'll get to the bottom of it.
Cedar Way in Spring Valley.
In Spring Valley.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't maintain the roads in Spring Valley.
Oh,
Special Districts does.
Right.
I
So,
thought you were special district.
no,
No,
I'm
we're
Public
special
Works.
County.
Oh, I
The
thought
guy's
you-
name's Scott and he doesn't
Wait.
have any hair.
No.
We're confused
Oh,
easily.
you don't do any of the roads in Spring Valley?
No, sir.
Oh, all right, my mistake, sorry. Then I guess I gotta call them again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Scott Harder with Special Districts.
Yeah.
They're the ones that maintain all the roads in Spring Valley.
Okay,
Yeah,
You're still calling Scott.
call them anyway.
yeah. Yeah,
Too many Scots.
yeah. Well, like I said, we all look a little similar, so.
Very good.
Okay.
So,
I can appreciate that.
do we have any other questions? Because I know we do have
Yep, you have a big,
we've got like 14, 15 items here that I'd like to make sure we get to on our time limit today. All right. Thank you very much.
you're
for
welcome.
your
Thank you. I
presentation
appreciate your time
and
and
answering.
I'll stick around for a little bit. I do have some things to do later this evening, but I will stick around. I'd like to heckle these two and then, if I can offer anything on the crosswalk stuff with the school, I'll stick around for a little bit.
Very good, thank you. We're moving on to item number 5, guest speaker, Mariah Turner, Director, Community Development Department, and Marcus Beltramo, Code Enforcement Manager. They're going to give us the update on the Clear Lake Oaks Roadmap Task Force scheduled to end April 2024.
Thank you. I think I'm starting with just a brief cannabis policy update. The Board of Supervisors yesterday considered 14 different recommendations from the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force regarding cannabis-related business types, zoning districts, where the businesses could be located, and the permit level required. And of all 14, very small changes were made. They wanted to get the retail delivery only, which is a cannabis retail store that does not have a storefront. They wanted to take that, make sure that we don't have those included in C1 or C2, which is a lot of where our main streets are. Want to make sure that as the task force continues now to develop development standards and requirements for the businesses, for all the stuff that made it through the board's recommendation, that as they do so, they really want the task force to keep in mind that we need to protect our high-density areas, especially as it pertains to cannabis special events, to minimize negative impacts on the public. Let's see, that. And other than downgrading a permit level for a retail storefront from a major to a minor, that's really the only changes. So what's going to happen now is that all of the board's direction that we received yesterday is going to go back to the Cannabis Task Force. They will, like I said, start working on development standards, which could be setbacks or all kinds of stuff about what goes in their applications, things like that, which is the general standards. They're going to start churning through that specific to the business types that the board approved, and that will all get integrated into a single draft ordinance. This will now be Ordinance 70, or Article 73, where all cannabis policy will then be stored, instead of where it is now, which is kind of all over the place in the municipal code. That draft ordinance will then go through environmental analysis. It will get vetted by the Agriculture Advisory Committee as well as the Planning Commission. And both of those are, I don't know if the Ag Advisory is a notice public hearing, but the Planning Commission definitely is. Since this ordinance will affect more than 1,000 parcels by state law, instead of doing a mail out, which would be impossible, that would be 60,000 parcels, what we do is we take out a 1/8 page in the newspaper. So be on the lookout on the Record B or in Lake County News for that to come up. It's probably not going to be until maybe closer towards fall or the end of the year, because I'm not sure how long environmental analysis is going to take. And your input will be very welcome. That's all I've got for today as far as the cannabis front goes. Did anybody have questions? And if not, I'll get to the one that you really want to hear from, which is Marcus. Yeah. Hi, Holly.
Oh, hi, Maria. I'm Holly Harris. I know I had sent in an email, but I just wanted to officially request, as you know, we've been down, there are 2 public representatives on the Cannabis Task Force, and we've been down one since late October. And I just wanted to request, we're coming up on all of the setbacks and the things that are going to affect the public and public requests. And I just wanted to officially ask that none of that will be considered until the second public, representative is seated on the committee.
Thank you. The appointment for the vacant spot is scheduled for February 27th. Mm-hmm. Our next meeting, which we canceled this last one, which was this past Monday because of all the storms. So we're going to hold a special meeting to just keep on track this next Monday. But it's all about general requirements so far. So we're not dealing with, I'm going to give them an update, but we're not going to start our real work until a future meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I could totally talk about this stuff all day, but I know y'all really want to hear from Marcus. So, but I will close just by saying, if you want any updates as we go forward with our general plan and our local area plan updates, please send us an email. The email address for the general plan and local area plan updates is lakecounty2050@lakecountyca.gov. We got my good side there, Bill. That is our general email that is specific to the general plan and local area plan update, because we don't want to lose any piece of public input. It's so essential that these long-range plans are community vision driven. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Marcus Beltramo. I'm the manager of the Code Enforcement Division for Lake County. My purpose here today is to give an update on the Roadmap Task Force, which is basically Clear Lake Oaks proper, and kind of give you some stats. And then I'd also like to address Ms. Roy's concerns and frustrations, as those are also my concerns and frustrations as well. So I'm just going to give out the numbers that we have. The numbers we have from June 1st, 2022 to February 6, 2024, we opened up 545 cases. 293 have been fully corrected and brought into compliance. The big numbers I really want to some of these numbers kind of jumped out at me as well. We actually abated and removed 240 vehicles. That's a lot for given the size and the area that we're dealing with, that this task force has mapped out here. So basically, if we had done our job, you're sitting with 240 dangerous vehicles, attractive nuisance vehicles, junk vehicles, environmental hazard vehicles. As we all know, the Keys, you guys all sit on the lake or channels to the lake, so that number popped out at me too. I didn't know we had done that many, so I was really pleased to have that number. General numbers, again, we opened up 6 animal density cases, 18 cannabis cases. Remember, this doesn't include Spring Valley or somewhere, a lot of places higher up on in the area there. 67 open and outdoor storage cases, 33 garbage rubbish refuse cases, 3 cases involving unsightly appearance, 76 substandard property cases, 42 overgrown weed cases, 4 illegal dumping, 24 occupation of recreational vehicle cases, 3 unhoused homeless cases, 22 unpermitted construction cases, 5 unsafe condition cases, and 2 zoning and land use violations. Some of the highlights I'd like to kind of point out is we had some legacy and problem properties that have been going on for the years. One was on Oak Grove and Center Way, commonly known as Joe Taylor's property. The property owner, by applying the statutory pressures that we are afforded, we worked with the homeowner or the property owner, and he took that out, painted up, looks real nice. The Parento property, that's finally clean. That's the property next to the Betty's Tacos. There was another property, 65 Hoover, used to have yard sales all the time. That's been cleaned. The house across from the Parento property on First Street, the bank got involved, they took over that one, they evicted that guy out, so we took care of that. I don't know if there's any members of the property POA, the Keys POA, but is that you? All right, so we've been working diligently. Hopefully you have the same opinion as I do. We've been working to cure a lot of those issues. Some of them are beyond our statutory capabilities, but again, we're here, we're trying to serve the community, we're trying to work on those things. Some of the unpermitted stuff, we've been working on that as well. The way I'm looking at it right now is we got a few more months left on this, and we've got a bunch of properties we've identified, we put notices on them, and we're preparing to abate those before this program ends. So I think one of the bigger pushes is going to be here in the next couple of months. We finally got to being fully staffed, or as fully staffed as we can afford to be. Doesn't mean we're staffed enough to adequately service every area and township, but I think you'll see the biggest push here in the next 3 to 4 months. We had a summary abatement on Happy Garden last week, popped up on a Friday at 2 o'clock. RV that you've been seeing in your area was just leaking sewage all over the highway. Not to disparage any other jurisdictions, but at the end of the day, code enforcement, along with environmental health, had to step in to solve that problem, and we got that done. So I was proud about that. Other than that, I really have no other numbers to report. I figure we're going to get into a question and answer part of the program here, and sounds like, did you have something to say?
Before you do that, before we launch into that, I do want to explain that our code enforcement officers, while responding to an issue in Clear Lake Keys, were waylaid on the morning of January 29th. They observed a gentleman that was obviously in distress, went over to see if they could help, ended up staying with that gentleman, one officer, while the other officer called emergency services and directed them to get life-saving services for this man. So although our officers do respond quickly to complaints, if we see we can help out with a greater need, we absolutely are open to doing that. Thanks.
And actually, I appreciate her mentioning that one too, because that was the Patricia Zerlak property, the opening of the Keys. So that property got cleaned up too finally, but while we were there, we caught a gentleman who was suffering from hypothermia. So, but we still got to get that dock pulled back and everything. So that being said, I see hands starting to get raised, and I'm ready to hear your questions.
When we see these RVs on the side of the road, and you see every once in a while you'll see a highway patroller pull up and they'll check them out or whatever.
I don't mean to interrupt, but your name and...
My name is Dean.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just so we
And
know. So
anyways,
we can get the record.
You'll see them talking to them, the police talking to them, and then the rig will sit there for up to a month, and then the guy will just take off, and then the rig's just sitting there, and that's all there is to it. Until one of you guys come and get it, and we appreciate that. But I was curious, if you know who the guy is and he bails on it, what is the criminal part of that? Does he go to jail for that, or is it a misdemeanor?
So I can't speak to the criminality of the situation. That's beyond my scope. That's for the sheriff's department, peace officers, CHP, and law enforcement. So I can't comment. That's outside my scope. All I know is that we do our job. We tag it. We get it out of there. I wasn't always happy. I'm always happy with the CHP. I figured they could do a lot more. The case we had on Friday, I was hoping that they would take care of that. They have the powers to act immediately. Code enforcement is not designed to act immediately. We're designed to act over time in a methodical manner. We're like an iceberg. We move slowly, but we clear everything out as we move. But unfortunately, out of necessity, we are forced into these positions to act. And because we have to act, it puts me in a precarious position after we act to then resolve the matter, further. So I can't comment on what peace officers do. I can comment on what code enforcement does, and whatever they don't do, we'll try to pull the slack as best we can. This is a division that cares. Everybody that's in my division is from Lake County, and they care about Lake County. And they're not getting compensated as their counterparts in other jurisdictions. So part of the component is caring. And so they roll up their sleeves, they dig in, and we do what we can do. I think we got another one off Highway 20 that was kind of on the fog line there. We had 5 of them pop up last week just out of, I don't know where. So we're doing the best we can. We are looking to hold people more accountable. There needs to be, I think there's going to be a bigger conversation with my director and other departments about how to handle these situations and having procedures in place moving forward. But that's the best way I can answer that question.
Marcus, question for you?
Where we at?
I'm Sue Burton, and I live in the Oaks. One of the questions I have is we have a motorhome in town here that, it's a fairly, not a trashy one, I mean, I've seen better.
Are we talking about First and?
He's all over. And
which one?
It parks in front of the park, our Nylander Park a lot.
Okay, I know what one we're talking about.
I've heard some really bad stories. I don't know if they're true. I'm not there. But he's told to move, and he does move 10 feet.
Yep.
How many times can you tell him to move
So
before something happens?
So this is a real concern, and this is one I've been trying to push and try to get some assistance with. So code enforcement's jurisdiction is we handle inoperable, abandoned, wrecked, or dismantled vehicles. That's it. It doesn't matter registration, but if it moves, that's not a code enforcement issue.
Oh.
That becomes a CHP law enforcement issue, a camping issue. I know there's laws and Supreme Court cases going on, but that's not something that code enforcement has jurisdiction to do. Now, we try to stay on them, and we try to let them know and educate them, and we try to keep a strong presence, but that's not effective enough.
Okay.
And at some time, we can stay there and say, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. We can put red tags on it, 1,000 red tags on it. But after a while, it's a veiled threat. And that's when the sheriff has to supplement us. I would say the sheriff has been working with us a lot more on these issues. I've been very appreciative of a lot of the assistance they've offered. But really, they need to get involved. I believe it's their issue to resolve and help with.
Good, thank you. Compliments too to Lake County employees. I know that you're always with a limited budget, but you're getting done what you can. And this town really appreciates what you do. But I think we should call CHP because it is on the highway, and that's their jurisdiction as well.
So just kind of going back to that, I'll share this with you. I feel we need to be transparent. I'm not here to hide anything. I think we need to be honest in the reality and the situations we deal with. But the issue last week on CHP, Caltrans had to get involved. Caltrans was upset at the situation. They had to call CHP just to learn CHP had been out there 4 hours earlier telling him to move. Well, 4 hours went by, or they gave him 2 hours to move, 4 hours went by, and they still hadn't moved. So when they showed up on the scene, again, I'm not here to disparage them because they do what they can, but they said they have 2 officers for our area. And unfortunately, that's not adequate, and that's not sufficient. We went over to Nevada County. They have all the support over there. They're kind of like us in a little way, cannabis, kind of rural, dealing with some of the same issues we do, but they get responses immediately, and they have plenty of CHP. This is a conversation I think that's going to be elevated up to say, hey, we're here too. We deserve services too. We have needs too. We have standards as well too. but we have to elevate that conversation, escalate that conversation actually. But it's not sufficient and it's not satisfactory, and something needs to happen. I don't know how that happens, but it needs to. And they need to step up. There's actually, as you go down Highway 20, there's the guy with all the pallets. I'm sure you guys see him all the time. That's got to go too. Unfortunately, I don't have a code. Now, I can take a stretch and I can take a leap, and we've talked to him, but I don't think I have the strongest codes that I can enforce to resolve that issue and abate that issue. I am going to take a stab at it, though. But that's got to go. That's a danger. Just remember, when you're on the roadways, there has to be area for you to, if you have to swerve or if you have to get out of the road for defensive driving, or sometimes you just swerve off the road just naturally. It just happens sometimes. But there has to be an area for you to recover. And what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for problems with that. And we all know is that highway, once it gets an accident, we're shut down.
Yep. Okay. Terry Roy again, about the RV by Nylander. Are you talking about two people for the area from the sheriff's office or from?
Two people. So the CHP, their response to me when I was saying when I was having this conversation with them that they need to remove it, Caltrans, who called them out there, says that they need to remove it. Said they have two people for the area, and then they pass it on to Fish and Game. But they say they only have 2 officers for this area. Now, I'm just going off what they're telling me. I didn't like hearing that, but they do have these authorities. And remember, CHP, I used to work, I was part of their union at one point. They're the strongest, well-funded state agency in California. They have powers to act immediately. They can solve this problem. Remember, every time we solve a problem, we're using taxpayer money or public funds of some sort, or public grants. That makes it even more difficult to solve the other problems we have to deal with.
Because getting back to my concern about the children at the pool, the fact that he's always parked right in front of the playground.
Trust me,
it's appalling.
I make my concerns known.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of other jurisdictions or other departments or agencies, and I'm not here to disparage them because they're doing some things too. I just think at the end of the day, some people just have to step up. And that's what we're doing, and that's the conversation we had this morning with my division, is we need to step up. And we're ready to actually step up. We actually have the experience, we have the training, we have support, we have equipment that we've never had. So I think we're in a prime position to be much better moving forward. I could use a few more officers, I'm not gonna lie. But we're doing the best we can. And again, these are not fast processes. A lot of these things take time, and there's statutory requirements, and we're doing a lot of other big things at the Community Development Department. So there's a lot going on, but we're still going to do what we need to do, and hopefully it'll be enough.
We do appreciate the abatement that happened at the house on stilts with the boats, the boat in 2 pieces.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, thank you for that, but at the end of the day, that's just one in a long battle. Yep. So that took a lot of pressure to be applied there, and we got to our precipice. And I want to thank the property owner, Patricia. She did respond and get somebody out there to handle that. But it's a great feeling when you come back from the weekend and you see that issue solved and the way it was resolved. Now, there's an issue on the backside we got to get that dock back so you guys get that free channel. But I was happy with it too. But remember, that's just one in a long line of other properties we need to solve. And I think over the next 3 to 4 months, you're going to see a few more of these come into compliance and be a lot better.
My name is Carol Butzbaugh. I live in Spring Valley on Quail Trail.
Okay.
I pass 2 places that are just absolute garbage dumps, and I've come here to these meetings and complained about it before. He gets red tagged and he just throws them to the wind. He doesn't care.
No, I'm familiar with that, and I've actually been here saying that I would solve that problem. And I do apologize. We do need to solve that. It kind of ebbs and flows. It kind of gets a little better, and then he junks it up again. Unfortunately, my problem is I have to prioritize. And so we're pulled away to some of these immediate issues. And resources is all another thing. We just got to the most staffing that we've had in a long time. That just happened 2 weeks ago. And before that, we were only down to 2 officers for the whole county for pretty much September, October, November, December. That's a tough pull given all the issues within this county. I know who you're talking about, and My hope is that we can circle back to that, but I do have about 3 to 4, 5 target areas that I have to resolve first. And I hope that I can get to that guy, but you're absolutely right. What we've done has not been adequate, and we need to get back there and solve that problem.
What about a place that just has a pile of garbage everywhere on the property, and it's on my way also?
Are you talking
that I
about
pass?
Foxway?
Yes.
Yep, yep. That one is in process right now.
Okay, thank you.
We're hopefully we can schedule that, but we actually have what we call a batting order. And so I know that we've got things, the paperwork has started. I believe the property owners abated some of it, but it's still not enough. We need to get more. We need to get that whole thing cleaned up. And there's a bigger issue there too. So we're probably going to end up, I don't want to discuss it right now because we haven't taken those actions and it's still under investigation. So I don't want to get to it, but you're right. It has to get cleaned up.
Can you explain to them the new ticketing program and how it's going to?
The citations?
Yeah.
All right, so after a 2-year journey, I guess that's the best way for me to describe it, we've gotten to the point where we actually contracted with a third party. Now, we've always had the ability to issue a citation, but we just didn't have the mechanism to collect and do the processing. That's a whole task in itself, and we were trying to do it internally, but it was just too much. And we were doing the best we can, but we've contracted with a third party. I'm just working out the rules and kind of the finalities of it, I guess, or the final pieces of it, and that's going to be in place. I would anticipate starting April 1st, maybe with some tweaks here, probably July 1st, there's going to be a lot of upset people in the county. A lot of people are going to get a lot of paper, and a lot of people are going to possibly owe some money if they don't take the actions necessary. Now, we're not here to make money. We're here for compliance. We believe the trade-off for compliance outweighs the monies that could come into service or for our operating revenues for our division. But compliance, the benefits of compliance have long-term effects and long-term benefits that far outweigh any fines or monies or revenues that could come into our division. But we are prepared. We're just finalizing those processes. And come, I would say about July, August, there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of citations and paper that they get in the mail. And the thing is, we already have a list of everything. So Fox Trail probably won't get it because he doesn't really have any money. But we'll still abate that one. But everybody else most will be getting a citation. And that's an easy thing. We're already set up to do it. We just got to finish this process and then just start printing out the notice. Also, we're also getting a new database at our department there. This will help enable us to print notices faster and doing it in a more effective and efficient manner. So they can just go out, hit the right buttons, boom, post it, mail it, we're done. We'll see you in 21 days.
Good.
Is there a follow-up question, Jim? Or
I
Tony?
was just saying that they get, it goes to the franchise tax board if they don't pay.
So
it,
that's part of the collections process that we were struggling with, is that you have to do some paperwork and fill that out, send it over to franchise tax board, have accounts, and there's a lot that goes with that. That's why we contracted with a third party to take that burden off of us so we can stay in the field and we're not bogged down with paperwork and timelines and those kind of things. We've shifted that burden off to somebody else, and it's a cost-effective cooperation that we have with this third party. So it's going to be beneficial to us. It's not going to be too much of a financial burden. But I'm excited, and I think, I don't know how many other people in the county are going to be excited, but it's finally, this county's tough sometimes, you know, it really is tough. And so, but I think, you know, with Director Turner being here and trying to navigate and negotiate a lot of these hurdles within the county, we're going to get there. And we're set up, code enforcement's set up to have a big year. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Marcus,
Hey, I want to take, if I could take these two, I'd like to take these two questions.
Real quick.
Yes.
So Angela, ask your question because I have an update for you too.
Okay, so first one is going to be the motorhome that was on Highway 20, right by Old Long Valley Road. What was the situation there? Was that code enforcement? Or?
So we took care of that, but unfortunately someone torched it before we got there. So usually that's Elk Mountain's method of operation. That's not a Long Valley. Or Spring Valley likes to drive down the road and throw rocks at things. That's what they do over there. Lucerne likes to flip them over on their top and spin them. Cobb likes to shoot them up, so, but we already had that one tagged. Whoever, you know, these are real things. Each area has its own distinct method that they feel is appropriate. And it's actually not funny in a way. It's funny, but it's not, because it causes more danger. And here's the thing, a fire in this county is, we don't need any more fires that could cause other fires. But I guess someone got upset, torched it, thought that would make a difference, but it was already in the queue. The problem is, everyone else had dumped their RVs at the same time, and we have to prioritize. And we got out there and got it as soon as we could, and that was us.
And then, so I guess this might be for Maria, but for Roadmap Task Force, what's the funding plan? Now that we saw last month that we lost over $1 million in cannabis tax revenue, and a lot of it's being funded by that, what's the plan going forward for funding?
That has not been hashed out yet. It's actually an EJ question. At the mid-year budget review and the governance workshop, the board did talk about or recognize that Roadmap Task Force is coming to a close, so they'll be discussing that as a priority for continuing and where it'll be located also. And while I have the mic, I wanted to also express the department's appreciation for the Board of Supervisors, because one of our department priorities is fiscal sustainability, particularly for code enforcement and planning divisions. Historically, both of these divisions are very reliant on general funds, and so that's why over the years you have seen code enforcement staff grow. It could be like 11 one year, and then some years we've had 2 or 0. So our Deputy Community Development Administrator, with her background in grants management, is tasked with developing a grants program that'll help to keep our staff resources stable. And as part of that, yesterday, the board did approve our application for a grant that is a 3-year grant to fund 2 new positions that are focused on hazardous vegetation management as well as housing rehabilitation. So we're hopeful that if that grant is awarded, it will add to our staff resources to be able to deal with some issues that are ongoing in our county. Thanks.
And I'd just like to piggyback on the grants. So that's one grant that'll bring 2 more officers in here to deal with substandard properties and hazardous vegetation, which is a big, tough one. Substandard properties take a long time to investigate, prove up evidence, and go there. But we have another grant, and the property on Moccasin and the property across the highway. It's a fish and wildlife cannabis remediation grant, and then we have a second one through Cal Recycle. But those 2 properties have been identified. We're going through the last stages with them to finalize which properties we're going to do and give them all the pictures of how they currently look. So those 2 are slated. Hopefully, if we get the grant, those 2 are going to be part of that, and we'll get those cleaned up immediately.
Are you talking about the one with the bus?
So that, I don't know which one that one is, but Moccasin's the one that they raided like 3 years ago and just shredded everything and just left everything there, all the RVs and the buses and all that. So that one, we're trying to get to it, but these grant funds are necessary for us to be able to do that. And not to put Supervisor Crandall in a precarious position, but this Roadmap Task Force is a big deal for our operations, and I really hope genuinely it can continue. If we get these 2 plus those 2, we're in a position to actually address each township and address it in an adequate manner. So I'm very hopeful, and I really hope it goes through. And then on Beryl, I've been up here talking for 2 years about Beryl. I share your frustrations, your concerns. I'm pushed all the time. I've gone to the last county council, this county council. I'm doing everything I can, and we're looking at the receivership route. We're speaking to an attorney that we identified. This attorney does code enforcement cases throughout the state. He's a very high-level, very accomplished attorney. He does these all the time. We brought it to him. He's already done an analysis for it. We're in negotiations to hopefully get to hire him and start that process. I don't know how that's going to play out. But right now, receivership is the best tool. It's the most cost-efficient tool. And here's the thing. The property owner is going to come back out probably this summer. And this is what we call a magnet and a multiplier property. It's a magnet because it tracks all the bad elements, and it's a multiplier because it creates a multiplier effect of code enforcement issues within that area. Garden Court, now they're up on Canocti. They stretched out to Pingree, the property on Oak Grove and Center Way. Every time we go there, we see the same people. So this property needs to go into receivership. It's a perfect candidate for receivership. And what needs to happen at the end of the day is if you're not responsible enough to take care of your property and secure your property and solve these issues, plus it's a dangerous property. It's occurred 2 fires, and it's probably, if we don't do something, it's going to have probably another fire. And the pool, you have 4 minutes to react. No. I'm totally on board. Caltrans finally, after letting him dump in that area, we got on their case and they blocked it off finally. But we need to take this property in receivership. We need to sell it. We need to put it to a new owner. The property on Lakeview, the White House, I don't know if you guys are calling it the White House, the new remodeled White House on Lakeview and Highway 20. It was a code enforcement case. That's an example of what we can do. And Beryl can look just like that property, and that's a $450,000 property. Beryl has that potential too. So, and trust, we've already abated. It cost us $17,000 to $18,000 the first time, and I'm prepared to abate it again. It's not in the roadmap task force area, so I can't tap those funds. Well, that would solve some problems, but what we really need to do is we need to take it from the owner, give it to a new owner who cares. This problem is affecting the whole neighborhood, and it needs to stop. I'm pushing for receivership. That's the only real tool that will solve this for permanent, long-term resolution. Hopefully, things work out, and we can get this receivership going. If not, I am prepared to abate it. It's going to cost a lot more money, and that's a lot more money. We're looking at 4 properties that we could use to abate, 4 other properties we could abate with the amount it's going to cost to abate that property. And here's the problem. You're going to abate it, we're going to abate it again. And then it's going to happen again. And so we're going to have to abate it again. So receivership is a long-term resolution. I don't really know what else to do, and well, I mean, how many kids are going to that property? I don't think any kid should be on that whole street.
I know it's a hill, but there's children across the street who walk down the hill to go to the bus stop. There's kids that, they roam around that neighborhood, and that's just the kind of thing that I remember when I was a kid, my brother and I, we'd be all over that, not around here,
and
but.
Just so you were, part of the building codes of the regulations, you have to have 2 safety measures. There's 7 safety measures you can have. You need to have 2 of them. A fence is usually the most practical one.
Yeah.
I'll consider that.
And fill it in, is there, that's it. I'm thinking I could take a hose and siphon it. I could throw a bunch of crap in there to try to keep it from.
So I'm not in a position to encourage you that, because that is somebody's property, and that would be trespassing. I think you're.
Call the sheriff. Seriously.
We're going to have to.
Seriously.
Yeah. But
yeah.
This is one that digs at me too, because if we solve this problem, I solve a lot of problems. I don't know what else to tell you I haven't told you before, but I think we've got it to the point where something can happen for receivership. I don't know if that's actually going to happen though. And the only thing I can think out is, not that the public hasn't been crying out, but maybe there needs to be a little more.
Yes.
I'm on your side on this one. I'm not trying to work against or disparage any other departments of the county. I'll probably get a talking to after this speech right here. But at the end of the day, it is a problem, and we need to recognize the problem.
And it is,
and it needs to go.
So
There's a little boy across the street from me that I see during the school days. He's all over town on his bike. These kids do get out and just run around.
I'm totally going to have to interrupt because I only have 15 more minutes for our whole meeting.
I apologize. I do this all the time, but
I know, and I appreciate it, and you can see the crowd it draws because they want you here. So
no, they're here for this guy, right?
Don't think so.
No, I think we need more time for you, Marcus, in the future. And you need to come back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, but we will work on Beryl, though.
Thank you. I am
Thank
so
you.
sorry.
They can talk to him after the meeting.
Yes, and if he is here, if he's willing to stay a few minutes after, you're more than welcome to take up your individual things with him then. We just have some other priorities we have to get to tonight, and I'm on a time limit, so. Again, thank you for being here and giving the time that is needed for their request. Okay. They're not tonight. Sorry. Jim, can't you handle that? Oh. All right. We're going to move on to our next item here. Number 6, crosswalk safety at East Lake School and Highway 20. I had asked this to be on the agenda not only as the chair of East Region Town Hall, but also as a citizen of District 3 who has a child that goes to East Lake School. Where I live in our district, the school bus does not go. Okay, that's no problem. We want her to go to the school she's supposed to go to in our district. We're going to do that. So we drive her to school, do. Here we go every day. What I see on these roads appalls me. And that's before I even get to the school. And it includes everything from poor Marcus's troubles, from code enforcement issues, to public works issues, to bad citizenship. Bad drivers, bad pedestrians, bad storefront owners that don't even take care of the flags that are out in front of their businesses. I mean, this goes on and on and on. So I'm driving and I'm thinking, oh boy, okay, here we go. I get to within a block of the school, I've got the poor little, the crosswalk lady out there going with her stop sign, and people completely ignore her. She's, walks away for her life telling the kids to stay over there. I mean, I've witnessed a couple things that I didn't like, and I'm pretty happy that I drive my child there, or my grandchild. But it's been brought to my attention, because I do chair this committee, that something needs to give.
Kathy Garner, and I drove my school bus for 26 years in Canocti, and nothing has changed. People, I think they're driving worse now. They've done that all these years. Every now and then a CHP would stand, would park there. People just zoom through. So I've been retired 16 years, and it happened for the 26th that I drove. So people just don't listen, or they don't watch.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for that gal out there. So
Exactly.
I
That's
don't
another
know.
tragedy we had.
After Molly gets hit. We go out there each morning, turn the little, Caltrans gave us the lighted key, so we turn on the blinking light, and at the end of the day, when the kids are done, we turn off the blinking light. I was talking to Scott. We need to look like, what is it, Calusa? What is it, the name? You told me what's the name of that town?
It's Williams or Calusa.
Williams or Calusa.
Yeah.
Williams, when you go through Williams, that you have to stop several times, and they have the blinking lights and the crosswalk. We need that. I just turned into the school the other day, and as I'm turning into the school, someone was so impatient, they went in the middle lane and passed me as I was turning. So it's so important. We need to do something before a tragedy happens. So thank you.
Thank
We
you.
ought to send a letter to CHP from the board.
Okay.
You want me to?
Yes, that would be great.
I'd like to make a suggestion to our board that we send a letter to CHP about the hazards in the East Lake School and the safety zones, and maybe they can step up a little enforcement in there.
And I understand their employee situation as well. Their patrol people are 2, 3 at the most probably, but I think at certain times of the day it's extremely needed.
Jim, are you, I think it's a really good idea. Are you making a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Our motion carries. Our town hall will draft a letter and send it to the head of CHP and our.
On the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee for Caltrans, and this is really a Caltrans issue. I have contacts with them, and I know there is a plan. I'm not sure where the progress is made on the crosswalk improvements for the North Shore. I could reach out to my contact through Caltrans and find out where where the progress is being made on that, and get back to you and find out particularly about, and they are very particular about safety through the corridor. They are going to be improving the North Shore corridor in a different, it's called Complete Streets, which is the funding for safety corridors, and that's actually not going to happen until 2031.
We're not opposed to drafting a letter to Caltrans as well.
But let me reach out
We've had
to,
do that in the past with some drainage issues.
let me reach out to my contact and find out who's in charge of the crosswalk improvements for the North Shore.
Thomas, we did have a group come from Caltrans last year.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's going to take quite some time before they make these. They've identified areas that need improvement. Again, it's a funding issue down the road. And obviously, for safety reasons, we can't wait 10 years.
Right, I'm on that committee, and some of those people are on the committee as well, but this is a different, EJ, do we have a contact to somebody about that crosswalks? Do you remember? Well, they're gonna improve the crosswalks. Oh, you do have it? Okay.
Okay, all right.
Something that
So
might
it's
happen sooner?
it's two different things, but
There hasn't been a date as of yet, but what it does say, it really goes, what road is this? Is this Butler Road or is there another road?
High Valley Road and Highway 20.
Okay, and so they gave me a list of potential spaces, and so I'm supposed to, I want to correct them and put those ones on as well. So-
Great.
And those are the RRFB or the flash, they flash, and they're looking at making the crosswalk flash too.
We're looking for anything. We're looking for any sort of help.
The CHP deputies and the chief or commander put in this grant and got it funded. It's different from the one that they came and presented. That one's going to be a long time. This one, we'll have to get it to Caltrans. Let's get it to Caltrans too. So you'll do one for CHP.
CHP and Caltrans.
And then we'll do one for Caltrans.
Because ultimately, I believe they're both responsible, CHP is responsible for poor driving,
In Upper Lake or Worth and Lucerne have had the same, not on the highway per se, but schools, they're having the same issues. They brought, Scott, you remember they brought you there and we're asking questions too because we have the same, because they grew so exponentially,
Yeah.
so much bigger.
Quick.
because they did some repairs to the school and did the bond. So they have more students, and so now there's a lot of people going through speeding in Upper Lake. And then Lucerne has just had the same situation with Country Club, and so that's been a common theme when it comes to the school.
Okay.
Okay,
All
to
right.
document that, then I'll make a motion that the Earth Board sends a letter in addition to a separate one to Caltrans.
I'll second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will draft two separate letters accordingly. Thank you. Anything else on this item? All right, let's see. We'll move quickly. I think we have like 5 minutes, guys. Tony, do you have anything to update for Spring Valley today?
No, not today.
Nothing? Okay, thank you.
Finish the other ones.
Okay. Commercial cannabis report and cannabis ordinance task force update. Anyone? Holly? Thank you. Checking. I just wanted to see if I can get through as many as I can here. Shoreline area plan update.
I think Maria mentioned that.
Thank you. North Shore Fire Protection District is Chief Mike.
He's not here.
He's not here. Do we have anyone?
Cindy.
Cindy, do you want to? Here we go. She's ready.
I'll take all the 5 minutes. I'm Cindy Storrs. I'm the chaplain for the North Shore Fire Protection District. I want to say a word about the chief that your board has hired. Your chief had a vision for fuels mitigation, to find a way to cut fuels out and away in order to provide wildland fire prevention. And he had this vision. He talked to the Lake County fire chiefs. He talked to EJ. He talked to someone at Clerk. He talked to the tribe. And got some support. The Board of Supervisors bought a chipper and some equipment, some chainsaws, some basic stuff. The tribe paid for salaries for a year, right? Yes. The best they could do, we hired 12 people. PG&E sort of got wind of it, clerk got wind of it. PG&E just made a $500,000 donation to what's now being called the Hometown Wildfire Safety Collaboration to raise the salary of the fuels crew and to hire 5 more. That collaboration includes a foundation that did a study for good fire and bad fire and the patterns of burn that will determine where the fuels crew will go to work to do mitigation of debris. The California State Fire Chiefs chipped in. They're in support of this. I want to make sure I get everybody. So we have now this collaborative event in Lake County that will be going forward for 5 years with the fuels crew being funded to look at where the path of good fire would be and where bad fire needs to be prevented. That's your fire chief. He had this vision and started talking about it. And it's been about 2 years to fruition. So if you see him or any of our dozen firefighters who responded to more than 100 calls during the storm, they're probably sleeping. They worked hard. We are looking to hire a battalion chief. If you know anyone who wants to come and live in this great county. Oh, let me say another word about this Hometown Wildfire Safety Collaboration. They're looking to make Lake County a model of how to work together, how different agencies and folks and foundations can provide wildfire suppression, so that Lake County would be sort of lifted up as a model county. Yay. They put the fire alarm on the fire station at 7-7, which makes me laugh. But if there's a fire inside, the water suppression system sets off a fire alarm. There's no engines out there yet, but it's closer. They have appliances, they have lights. It's been painted. Hopefully we'll get engines out there soon. We had some, we now have some landscaping issues there because the station sits higher, and as a result, it has a lot of drainage. So we'll be doing some landscaping work and some moving of some earth in order to kind of flatten things out a little bit. Okay?
Thank you.
Of course, Cindy was referring to our chief, Mike Ciancio, for all of you to know. And it covers 357 square miles, am I correct? With 4 going on 5, I guess the new one in Spring Valley Fire Stations. It's a huge area that he's responsible for covering.
77, 75, 80, 85, 90, 91, 6.
6. Okay, thank you. Supervisor Crandall, you're up. You got like 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Condensed hours of information.
It's like the end of the football game. You have 30 seconds.
30-second timeout, right? Yeah. Roadmap Task Force, yes. I know that in the meeting with the workshop that they had on the 23rd, if you check Facebook, I posted the sheriff's actual presentation to us because there's been a lot of statements about law enforcement getting support, et cetera. So he accentuates how they felt that they've got the support. Dispatch from the year 23 to 24 has went from 50% vacancy to 20% vacancy. For deputies, it's went from 33% vacancy to now 7% vacancy rate. Deputy Sheriff Corrections went from 40% down to 26%. I thought it said 20. So there is some things moving because of the incentives, the $10,000 incentives for some of the departments, the raises, the actual position allocations that we've asked the directors to, or allowed them, or gave them the opportunity to move whatever they needed to fill those gaps. So that was really good to hear, and if you want to see it for yourself, it's on. I posted it on there for you all. I actually went through it and the whole meeting and just did that part and cut it out for you. I would like to do the others, but my time's limited. But yes, Roadmap Task Force. After they chose who was Supervisor Paiska and Supervisor Sabatier, they chose this area, which I was grateful because it's in my district. Then I got put on the Roadmap Task Force ad hoc committee. So when we meet again, which they talked about after this recent budget meeting, they would like, or no, I'm sorry, the 23rd workshop meeting, that there was, it seemed like there was a consensus to move forward. So I also met with the sheriff a couple weeks back. And one of the things he had stated is the Roadmap Task Force is something he liked the model that they had in the 2000s, and I think Chuck and Holly, you were mentioned by him in that discussion as being a part of it. So he would like that model. It's a different time, staffing, things like that, but what he ideally would like to do is make it like a full Roadmap Task Force around the lake or something like that, but that's something we have to work together on. So in the meantime, there will be a discussion about this Roadmap Task Force and what it's done in this area, how that's going to look for the future, if they're going to leave a group here, if they're going to move it. But that's the discussion that we'll have at the ad hoc, then bring it to the board and go from there. So I know that the board does consider it a very important program. I know I do, because it's being a little selfish, I feel it's much needed in our district more than any other, but that's just me. I wanted to add to data ticket, and when you were talking about it, I looked at the numbers for it. It's a contract that won't exceed $2,400 annually. Does that sound right? Yeah. That's what I have. Yeah, it's $15 off of the admin fee, $250 to run a social security number for each deal. So it's a very cost-effective program that's going to help, right? Right. Plus, there's so many, issues when it comes to that, and so many people violating that. It's not gonna be under the $200 that the county will have to fill if it doesn't come forward. So, I just wanted to add that because I remember we were talking about it. So, let's see here. Do you want me to stop or?
Where are we at?
Give them 10 minutes.
Yeah, you got 4 more minutes.
We hired a health services director, so now we have a public health officer and now a health services director. We appointed him yesterday, so he will be starting soon. Actually, effective yesterday, but he'll be out here. He's already out here now. He's staying he just got a condo, he said, and he's staying in an Airbnb. So he's here. I don't know if you're familiar, we had a hitch meeting for the public a couple weeks back. The Farm Bureau and I met, Rebecca from the Farm Bureau and I met. We continuously have these meetings and discussions at the county level, and it's one of those things where it gets quite contentious. So we decided that she would host it as the Farm Bureau and invite the state officials to come and talk about that, rather than having it be a county thing and we get into that whole mode, and it's more relaxed. They asked questions and they wrote them down and brought them to the front, so it was a little more comfortable atmosphere to talk about this. It went pretty good, and so that is also on YouTube. I know it was posted, but I could see if I can get that posted on the Earth as well. It was a really productive meeting, and I know that yesterday when we talked about some things in the, I forgot what topic it was, but we would like to bring that back. I think it was the emergency proclamation for the hitch. We want to bring it back and talk about it again and bring the state, because there's a lot of things that have happened since then. Yes, yeah, it was on Lake County PEG. And so that's one of them. PG&E situation with Lake Pillsbury still continuing. We're at that same we're at the same stronghold with, we're basically still trying to state that there's no need to take down Scott Dam because it's a water source. These people are applying for grants to get another body of water built, which makes no sense when we have one. So we're just continuously doing what we can to see if we can get FERC to ensure that PG&E takes more time to make either Lake County whole, which we would much rather them say, well, it's a body of water. You should leave it. It's an emergency. But unfortunately, as you might see online, the governor came out in support of decommissioning. So that was a little of a blow, but kind of used to that. So yeah, that's one of those. I just went to, real quick, I went to an I'm on the EPA National Committee. I know I've talked about it before. Just finished the document that we're going to send to the Administrator Regan of EPA to, we recommend like 12 to 16 different recommendations for the EPA administrator to ensure they use these tactics in allowing funding from the Inflation Reduction Act and any other funding like 319 funds, which is like water, Scott, that's water quality. Yeah, water quality. And so, for rural counties is one of the main reasons in tribes, and there's not too many people that are familiar with tribes because big farms in the Midwest, they live around tribes. But there was some things that were misquoted, and I let them know that wasn't accurate, and it really helps because it's an education process. We are asking to see if they could streamline rural counties. Tribes are streamlined because each tribe has a EPA department, and they get funds from EPA in that aspect. So they have a streamline already. So we're looking to see, we as a group are trying to encourage the EPA administrator and how they fund to allow small rural counties like us to have the capability to streamline as well. That's one thing we talk about at RCRC. We're all small rural counties, and it's very difficult for us to have our directors and our staff triage through grant funding and how we can get it. We can't go for every single grant. We have to say, oh, let's just go for this one, right? But if we can file a streamlined document to get us into a situation, in a grant funding situation, then that's the way we go. So that was good. We finally got it done. The last meeting, it was very contentious. We couldn't even get a vote on something. This time we were able to do it. So we'll finalize that in July. And one of the things I always